Family Association at AFA Today.
Well, welcome to New York. Kevin McCullough, glad you're with us as we welcome you into the studios at AFA Today here in New York. And tomorrow, where I will be coming to you live in the home base operation of Tupelo, Mississippi, the headquarters of the American Family Association. We are always, of course, glad to have you with us on a daily basis so that we can obliterate confusion, replace it with truth, and then focus ourselves towards a life of clarity. Clarity is something increasingly missing in the life of one Chris Christie. You may have heard the story on the last news update right there at the top of the hour, but in case you missed it, this was how it ran on My 9, New Jersey, earlier today.
Couples began saying "I do" in New Jersey today.
Many couples started getting married just after midnight when same-sex marriage became legal in the Garden State. Fox 5's Teresa Priolo live in Jersey City with that story for us. Good morning, Teresa.
Hey, good morning, Ben. Good morning, Carrie. At 12:01 is when the marriages started here in New Jersey. 12:01, the time when gay couples across New Jersey were given the green light for something that they've waited a long time for, and that's the right to marry. But at least at this point, it's only being allowed on a temporary basis. 8 couples married here in Jersey City inside the city council chambers of City Hall, making New Jersey the 14th state to allow same-sex marriages to go forward. Now, I mentioned this was only on a temporary basis. We'll give you a quick history recap. Back in 2006, a local judge here in New Jersey said that same-sex marriages should go forward, but the governor, who is opposed to gay marriage, mounted a legal challenge, and he filed an appeal. He asked, while that appeal process was going forward, that these marriages be put on hold. And then on Friday, a Superior Court judge, so a judge seated at the highest court here in New Jersey, decided not to put that stay in place, not to allow that hold to be put in place. That judge basically said allowing that stay would be a violation of the rights that are guaranteed to these couples by the U.S. Supreme Court back in June in a ruling where Defense of Marriage Act was struck down. Here, take a quick listen to some couples that married here in New Jersey.
With this ring, I thee wed, and pledge you unto my trust. I, Stephen M. Fulop, Mayor, by the power vested in me by the sovereign state of New Jersey, now pronounce these couples enjoined in marriage. Congratulations.
Couples also married in Newark. Newark Mayor Cory Booker, Senator-elect Cory Booker, actually performed those. It's the first time he ever performed a civil ceremony. He said after that, quote, "I wasn't going to marry anybody if I couldn't marry everyone." For some of these couples, this was just on a provisional basis because they didn't wait the 72 hours that's required by law to marry here in New Jersey. For others, though, it's perfectly legal. That's the latest here in Jersey City. Back to you guys in the studio.
Appropriate that Teresa Priolo this morning, who's getting married later in the week, covering the marriage story this morning. Thanks very much, Teresa.
I understand their stress. Yep.
That's cute. Mix it into the fact that the reporter is going to get married later this week, and yeah. Anyway, New Jersey's got a bit of shall we call it just a very passive, uncaring, apathetic governor towards his own faith, his own principles, et cetera, et cetera. It seems to be that he's not overly concerned about some of that stuff. I wonder why. I wonder if it's all this gobbledygook he's been getting from people telling him that he's going to be the next president of the United States. Yeah, no. Did you love the additional emotional goo there? The senator-elect performing some of the ceremonies there in Newark at midnight last night. That was kind of fun. Yeah, so 14 states now have some form of a legally redefined marriage union that is not defined at all. In fact, in fact, this is going to be kind of interesting. I said this on Facebook this morning, but how long will it be in the state of New Jersey until churches are legally forced to participate in this process? I'm curious. How long will it be in the state of New Jersey until bakers and photographers and florists and travel planners and whoever else contributes to the wedding industry is going to be forced to participate in these processes. See, this is where the freedom of expression of religion is just getting shot. And nobody cares. Nobody cares. Your president doesn't care. Your president actually is in great favor of shutting down religious freedoms. That's obvious. But it doesn't appear that the average person cares about religious freedoms anymore. I think it has a lot to do with what we talked about last week. We become a nation of takers, not of producers. We don't want to work hard for anything. We just want everything to be given to us. We want everything to be easy. We want the government to take care of us, and when they do, then they start taking away things that belong to us. So here's what I believe is going to happen, friend. People of faith, people of conscientious faith, in just a desire to pass on to their own kids what that faith is, they're going to be called abusers. Parents teaching their children that heterosexual sexual activity is the norm, and that marriage is the standard and the gold standard, and that what you should be aiming for is a biblical concept of how you use sexuality. That's just gonna, they're gonna be brainwashing abusers, and so they're gonna be told that they're actually committing child abuse by telling their children these things. Nobody wants to talk about this part of the discussion. If you're on some parts of the right wing, you just want to talk about this crazy idea of stopping this and returning it all back to the way it was. It's gone too far for that now. We didn't do the job we should have done. It will not be returned. This isn't Hawaii in the 1970s when gay marriage was legal for a little while, and then people realized what they had done and they undid it. This is something that our culture is insisting upon, desiring, not willing to go back on. So we're kind of in a tough spot when it comes to that. And the thing at the other end of the spectrum here is that then there's all these people that are invested in continuing to brainwash. So you've got some people that are looking at the end of the thing, going, how are we going to get these 14 states back to traditional values? Now, mind you, it may not be tomorrow when the rest of the country falls into this trap, but it's coming, state by state, and it's just so. What do we do next? I guess that's the thing that I've always kind of wondered when I started seeing these states fall, and there are no protections in the judicial system. There are no protections in the votes of the people, not at present. Because the Supreme Court and the Congress and the president just seem to ignore whatever the people say. So what happens there? I don't know. I don't know how, but I know one thing, and I know it very, very well. We are in a situation right now where we need to understand that there are going to be certain resources that if they are not left available for you and I, we're not going to have anything to fall back on. We're not going to have anything to encourage us on. We're not going to have any room for bolstering our spirit as we are seeking to be faithful in the days to come. And that's one of the reasons why AFR must continue to exist. It absolutely must. We may not be able to undo some of the stuff that has been done, but without something like AFR as a resource to limit any further damage, or in addition to that, give us the news that isn't being reported elsewhere, or I hope in the case of this broadcast, to help you to think more clearly about the news that is being reported. Friends, what will you do? What will you do from this point forward? There is no middle ground anymore. It's the enemy's on the attack, and the people of God are trying to figure out how to respond. So what will you do, and how will you be fed, and how will you stay apprised of what's going on? Tomorrow we start our official Share-A-Thon for the fall of 2013. But here's what I want to ask you right now. 888-589-8840. If you've given in the past at other Share-A-Thons, if you plan to give tomorrow or Wednesday or Thursday. If you may have already given online, here's what I want to know from you today. What was it about AFR that made you glad that you gave your gift, or is making you glad to give a gift this year? What is it about what we do for you that has helped you understand that this is a lifeline for you in many ways? 888-589-8840. I want to know your thoughts. 888-589-8840. If you've given in the past, if you plan to give this week, maybe you fit under both of those categories. Why? What's the reason with why you've participated with AFR in the past? Tell me your story. Tell me how this outlet met some sort of need in your life that didn't before. And then if you haven't seen in recent days the need for AFR, then you're just blind, friend. When the administration targets you through the branch of the military as an organization called a hate group, and you know why they call us a hate group? Because I look at what Governor Chris Christie did in New Jersey this morning in repealing the appeal. They call this a hate group because we say, wow, that's just not good for families. And we're not trying to hurt people, and there's no one that we've got in our targets. We don't have targets. We love people. We pray for people. We want people to know peace through Jesus. But we have the audacity to kind of sometimes say stuff that other people don't say. And that is not always well received. But if you wanted just the same, cup of soup that the administration was putting out, I know there's an NPR station right up the dial from us somewhere on your radio. So that's completely, totally your call. I'm kind of amazed. In the last week, there's people on Facebook that go by false names. One of them is Hawthorne Bumblebuck or something like that. He's one of these kind of weird, creates false identities on Facebook to try to, I don't know, think he's gaming the system and then go on pages and say things and so forth. And evidently he's been monitoring this broadcast. And maybe he's an activist for one of the big lefty groups. I don't know. But so mad at what he hears so many days in a row. And I asked him in his last email, why do you listen? What is it about what we're doing here that seems so addictively painful to you? Because I know one thing. I don't need to listen to NPR, so I don't. I don't get anything from it. I don't get anything from a lot of other stations up and down the dial that don't do anything to renew my sense of soul, not just my amount of information. And by the way, here in New York, I don't have an AFR station. The only way that we New Yorkers are able to listen to AFR, and by the way, there's a good strong chapter of people that listen here in the tri-state area, but none of them have a radio station to do it through. They listen via the app or online streaming. They watch the television feed on Sky Angel or something else, but they don't have it. So here's what I want to know: why do you plan to give to AFR this week? By the way, if you want to make that gift early, the donate button on AFR.net is working. But I want to hear your story, not just your reasons. I want to know why. I want to know where you were when you heard what on AFR that made you said, yeah, this is the reason why I've got to keep AFR here. It's a resource unlike any other. Do you understand that? Tell me your story today, friend. I want to know about it. Kevin McCullough, AFA Today from New York, coming right back here on AFR Talk.